Hey, good morning. Again, this is Sean Barbera from Navigator Business Solutions. Welcome everyone to our demo and presentation of SAP S4HANA Cloud Public Edition. Know before you grow. I see the attendees have joined, and those who are coming late can just join in. A couple of housekeeping notes. If you do have questions, please feel free to type them into the question box in the GoToWebinar app, and we'd be happy to address them either in line or at the end of the presentation. Just a quick agenda overview. We will do a couple of intro slides, and as we promised, this is not a death by PowerPoint presentation. You will see the software. We'll do a quick intro to Grow with SAP. Then you'll get to see the UI UX, talk through that, and then a quick walkthrough of order to cash and a review of that, and a wrap up with questions and moving forward steps for any of you that have those questions or just want to listen to others. So with that, I will pass it over to Ralph Hess for his presentation.
Great, thanks so much, Sean. And again, welcome everybody. We really appreciate you taking the time to attend this webinar, which is really intended to not just tell you a little bit about what Grow with SAP is, but also actually to introduce you to the application itself through some short demonstrations. So what I wanted to kind of frame this by just helping define what is Grow with SAP. SAP has done a significant marketing effort and branding this year with something that's called Grow with SAP. And what they're trying to do is really attract some of the small to mid-sized businesses to understanding more about what it's like to operate with SAP today. So first and foremost, just kind of frame this up, this is not your grandfather's SAP. And I always say that to customers and prospects when we're first engaging with them. So as we oftentimes get into conversations with prospective customers, we ask what's their perception of SAP ERP? And these are some of the responses we get. Well, it's too big and rigid for us. You know, they're multi-million-dollar projects that take years to implement with armies of consultants. And by the way, don't you remember that time that they shut Hershey down right before Halloween? Side note there, Hershey is one of the lighthouse customers for SAP that is highly referenceable and very happy now. So, but anyways, that's kind of what everybody's perception in these days are of what SAP is. But the reality of today's SAP is that over 80% of SAP's customers are small to mid-sized companies. They're focused on being right-sized and nimble. No longer are we trying to kind of position these big monolithic ERPs to be able to take everything at once and do a big bang project. It's focused on the customer's requirements. What do they need to do now? How can we start small to show value and then increase the value and outcomes that you're achieving with the solution as you're moving forward with it? It's also what we consider the foundation of the intelligent enterprise. We'll talk a little bit later about the intelligent enterprise and how the ERP really is at the core of that intelligent enterprise. And rather than stories of nightmares, really the goal is to produce outcomes for customers that are celebrated. And as you learn more about Grow with SAP over the next year, SAP is going to be celebrating quite a bit more of those types of outcomes. So what are some of the key benefits of the, I'm just going to hide my control panel here, my apologies. Some of the key benefits. So one of the key elements of this Grow with SAP is running with industry best practices. We'll talk about that in a minute. Being able to go live with confidence. So really debunking that it takes years to implement with armies of consultants. It's totally been placed on its head. With a cloud mindset, you can do accelerated implementations and achieve rapid time to value with the solution. You can grow without limits. You can add customers, markets, products without increasing the complexity or having to add on additional solutions. And again, we'll talk about what's actually what I'll call in the box of this overall solution. And then it's very innovative. You can build your own breakthroughs by reshaping business models, using business technology platform, using in-app extensibility, and changing the way you work on the fly. So what we hope to give you today is just a little bit of a flavor of what all of that means for your business. So when we say grow with SAP, what SAP is really talking about is SAP's S4HANA Cloud Public Edition. I'll refer to it as S4 Public going forward. But it is a ready-to-run cloud ERP that delivers the latest industry best practices and combines that with continuous innovation. So running on the industry standard means that I'm not going to design all my business processes from scratch. This allows us to say, let me take this out of the box business process, implement it, workshop it, configure it to my requirements, and then move very quickly through the implementation. So what you'll see today is a very modern user experience, some pre-configured industry best practices, and it's a full cloud ERP that grows with your business. In terms of accelerating your business growth, as you saw me refer to kind of starting small, achieving outcomes, and then increasing the value, what it's intended to do is really meet your base needs and then be able to help you innovate as you're accelerating the business growth. And then in terms of innovation, it is a full SaaS ERP. And what that means is that you're never going to be stuck behind on a release, or 2 years behind on a release, or 3 years behind on a release. It's continually upgraded without disruption. You have a lot of ability to make it your own. Russell's going to show a little bit about that in the UI in terms of personalizing the user interface to your requirements. It's a very open API web-based platform. So integrating to third-party solutions using the business technology platform really allows you to extend the application and be nimble the way that you need to be to address your business needs as they evolve. So as we take a look at it, we're just going to talk a little bit about the best practices. There is 800 plus best practice scope items involved in the solution. And so when I say scope items, what that means is the system is based on a configuration. And rather than doing programming, ABAP programming, doing SQL programming, any of that, the way that you alter the functionality within the solution is by scoping and descoping various elements of the solution as it's delivered. That's how you're putting together the workflow based on best practices or fit to standard that's going to help you achieve rapid velocity in terms of the implementation. You'll see a collaborative and personalized UX. Russell's going to demonstrate that in just a moment. One of the things that we don't have on one of the slides is that it's fully integrated with Teams and with Microsoft products, so that the collaboration extends just beyond the application itself, but it also integrates and collaborates with Teams and Microsoft products. And then you have intelligent automation, things like IRPA, bots, processing, artificial intelligence. All of that is also delivered out of the box with the solution. So what you're getting here is what you would have thought SAP would deliver using a bunch of different types of products. They've really bundled that up into a product, which is called SAP S4HANA Cloud Public Edition. So the UI, which is very different if you've dealt with many other solutions, this is a very modern collaborative UI, and you'll see that it's clean, it's intuitive, it's very responsive to the user. It gives them a place to actually operate from and help them manage by exception rather than having to inquire into the system and do the work in the system to try to pull the information. There's embedded guidance and support. So you have in-app help and product tutorials and what's new information that's contextualized to what you're using the system for. It's one of the most highly documented solutions that in my many, many years I've witnessed. And then everybody wants to know about mobility today. So you can start and you can finish mobile. And as you can see, it's a very responsive UI, runs on tablets, runs on phones, and yes, even runs on Apple Watches. So rather than talk about this user interface, what I'd like to do is turn it over to Russell DeLapp, who's going to take 10 minutes or so and just show us a little bit of a tutorial and a little journey through the new user interface. Russell?
All right, thank you, Ralph. So here I am, I'm logged into our S4 demo system here. As you can see, it's completely browser-based. I am using Chrome. You can use pretty much any browser, any modern browser out there right now. Just typically my favorite is Chrome to use the different personas and things of that nature. When you do log in, you're gonna land on your home page here, and this home page is very easy to personalize. You can change the look and feel by just clicking these links here, adding different activities or apps or pages to your screen. And what those terms mean is you have your home space here, and underneath the space you can perform these actions. But you also have these different spaces, for example, purchasing. When you're going to be working in a specific area or a specific application area, this is your purchasing space, which has a combination of both applications and different KPIs that are relevant to that space. And so here on my homepage, I have the most important thing for me is kind of that intelligent enterprise that Ralph mentioned before. And so we have these situations. These are really important because it really allows you to do more with less and focus on more of the value generating activities rather than the non-value generating activities. And so in this specific situation, I've asked SAP or S4 Public to monitor certain situations for me and then alert me when those situations are beyond the threshold. And so it's really easy, no code way to put in these alerts and workflow applications directly out of the box. And you can configure what's reported to you, well, what description, how it communicates with you via text, via email, Microsoft Teams, Google Collaboration, whatever you're looking to do. Those are kind of out of the box ways to integrate how S4 communicates with you. And so in this situation, I have a stock transfer order that's overdue, meaning I've shipped it out, but the other plant hasn't received it. And so if I come into this, I can quickly see from that situation, it's going to give me all the relevant detail I need to perform an action. So it's giving me some insight, it's giving me an alert, and then now I can come in and see what this issue is. It was expected to be delivered, looks like last month. And it then sent me this notification to come and explore what's going on. And so from here, I'm able to go into that specific stock transfer order and understand where it came from, who requested it, when I shipped it out to them, and then ultimately why it wasn't received, right? And so here's my situation. I can then come in here and send an email to that plant or that supervisor and ask them what's going on. And that's going to then basically allow them to interact directly with this situation as well, and ultimately be able to close that and have that correspondence and everything tracked within this process flow here. So that's a little bit about situations. We also have to-dos. These are going to be your different approvals or different kind of workflow notifications within the system itself. And all these will be presented to you again the same way through email or up here with these little notifications. So when you log in, you can see I have 2 new notifications that have been presented to me to then perform action on. Coming down here, I have pages, just a really easy way to navigate. A lot of my customers like this because it's mobile friendly. So we talked about different browsers and how you can interact with this data. You can if you're using an iPhone, you can actually look at the same data, the same URL, log in the same way, and use your phone to perform these actions. We also do have apps, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So whether you're using an app that's downloaded from the store, or you're just using your Safari browser or whatever it is, it's all built in a way to dynamically change and modify the way your screen looks based on the device that you're using. And so these are just a little more friendly for those touch screen type of situations. Excuse me, let's expand this a little bit. And then down here you have different apps. This is a really great way to navigate both from a functional way and a grouping way, right? So if I want to come in and perform an action on, let's say, managing my product master data, or if I want to run my financial reports, you can group those into different apps and punch out to reports, go to your quick apps, and so start modifying and quickly adapting to what your user or your role is specifically basically your most frequently used or your favorite apps, right? So these are your favorites. The system is also going to track your recent activities and your frequently used. It's just really nice as you're jumping back and forth between documents and what you're working on that hour, that day, that week, and be able to quickly access that information for you. And just scrolling down, it wouldn't be an SAP presentation without all the wonderful KPIs and reports that come out of the box. And again, these are very, very easy for you to personalize and manage to your users' wants and needs. So these are more the KPI-driven metrics and the insights of the tiles. And then you have the cards, which are essentially just a bigger version of these tiles. You can set up the same thresholds and color coding that is embedded into this as well. So you can see these are green, these are red. Those are all items that we're setting up in the actual card or tile themselves. And these can be presented to you in any one of these spaces throughout. So in a lot of fast-growing small to mid-sized organizations, you wear a lot of hats. And so it's a great way to personalize that hat that you're currently wearing at that time. So if I'm in that purchasing screen, you saw a different set of insights and tiles that were relevant to me for my procurement activities. All right, the next thing I wanted to talk about is this enterprise search. So I'm going to change it to all, and I'm going to type in a search. Let's say I'm on the phone with a customer, and they have a question about a specific invoice. They give me the invoice ID, and I can just type it in this enterprise search here. And it's going to go through the entire system and look for everything that's associated with this number that I typed in. It's going to pull it up and give me a snapshot of information to make sure I'm looking at the right thing. Okay, this is pretty interesting, this is great, but I want to find a little bit more information. Let's say they had a question saying they didn't receive the full amount that they're being invoiced for. And so you can come back and look at the document flow. And what this is going to do is give you that complete workflow scenario, swim lane, if you will, that happened to this. So I can see all the way back from the start here that I have my contracts in this swim lane. This quantity contract then created a sales order. That sales order then was shipped out here from the delivery and logistics swim lane, and ultimately that was billed. And so to answer their delivery question, I would just jump into this delivery document and be able to dive into that specific question or comment. For those of you that are in the accounting world, you're really gonna like this feature because these swim lanes in this process flow is actually linked down here. You can see when I click on this specific activity in the swim lane, it's going to tell me what journal entry is associated to what specific process flow above, right? And so you can see that here, or I can look at the journal entry and do the same thing, and it highlights the activity above that it's associated to. And so diving more into the journal entries, if I want to look at this from more of a financial perspective, once again, my accountants love this feature where you can actually look at this from a T account perspective or the traditional debits and credits. So this demo system has a couple ledgers. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. So I'm just going to simplify this a little bit. And so you can see that one invoice from that process flow, that swim lane view, also from the financial perspective, both from an income statement and a balance sheet T account, which is a really great way to visualize it. If you'd prefer, it's really easy to toggle back to the more traditional debits and credits look and feel as well. One of the other highlights, SAP has done a really good job modernizing the learning center and the enablement of the product. As Ralph always says, the tool is only as good as the users are enabled on it, right? You can have the best tool in the world, but if nobody knows how to use it, it's not going to be very productive. And SAP's realized this. And there's a lot of different learning journeys that they put together, but one of your my customers' favorites is really going to be this. So directly in the system, you can come into the Learning Center, and that's going to come up with a number of different roles that you can tailor and filter on. And so for again, my accountants, if I'm interested in, or I have a new accounts receivable person, I'm going to come into this trainer, and it's actually going to take me through the system. And if I'm interested in posting payments, I'm going to start the tutorial. And it's going to pull in and have a click-through activity here for me and say, have this guided activity and walk me through what to do. So I'm actually clicking these boxes as it walks me through the process itself. Or if I didn't feel like clicking, you can just click these arrows and it takes you through the entire process, right? It's a really great way to get your hands on the system and start learning it, as well as looking at different ways to do certain things. So it gives you a nice foundation on how to get started. And of course, there's the more traditional documents and in-depth guides as well. Okay, and from my last piece on the overview here is to highlight some of the built-in settings that make this a really powerful and flexible tool to help make it more agile and efficient. This is all done in a future-proof way, to where the next upgrade, you're not going to lose your settings. It's not going to break in the future. So it gives you that future-proof way to personalize your screens. And so within the settings, this is a real intuitive way to like I mentioned, add and remove those spaces and pages, change your appearance if you prefer a dark theme or a light theme. That'll change the background on what's behind me here. But also a really nice feature, especially when you wear multiple hats. And so if you have a multi-entity environment, you can come in and change your default value to whatever company you're working in for that day. Let's say I'm closing a set of books for a specific entity. I would want to change this to the entity I'm closing, so I don't have to keep typing it in on every document, right? Every time I pull up the screen, it's going to default this specific company code for me, and to just make that user experience that much better, right? As you can see, there's a lot of different attributes that we can go through and control and default in to make that efficient space for you, so you don't have to. It reduces that redundancy and that manual entry there. And so, Ralph, I guess I'll turn it back over to you. But I hope that was my goal is to really demonstrate how intuitive, how simple it is to personalize and to navigate to certain applications and functional areas. And so, as I move forward with the demonstration, you'll get a sense of how I'm using those tools to walk you through the order to cash process.
So thanks, Russell. Hopefully everybody saw kind of the uniqueness and very modern and usable way that SAP has kind of recast the user experience using S4. So not going to do too much recapping on that. We want to make sure that we're moving along. So we do have that ability to personalize. It is, very workflow related, launching applications very easily, and being able to get that insight to action that people are really craving as part of their user experience. So let's talk a little bit about, so that's the user experience. What is actually in the box of S4 Public Cloud? Well, as we take a look at it, I think, again, a lot of other people's experiences from the back might have been that, well, SAP has financials, and then you need to add on supply chain, and you need to add on production. But the Cloud Public Edition is a different solution. It's coming with all of what you see in the box. So it clearly has the world-class financials that SAP is known for, a very robust procurement solution. You see the Ariba buying there. That's not a requirement. That's kind of something you can add to the solution. But it supports the operational procurement, central invoice management, a lot of procurement analytics and exception handling. All of those things that are going to help you be very efficient in the procurement process. We're going to take a look at order to cash, so I'm not going to steal Russell's thunder there. But obviously, we can sell and deliver and monitor a combination of physical goods and services. You can have service invoices, service orders, a combination of the two. There's convergent and external billing, so that if you're actually selling or going to market through different marketplaces, you can bring everything together and do the invoicing that way. There is service included, so you have service contracts, service orders, deliveries, billing with cost control, revenue recognition, all of those elements that you need when you're not just selling products, but selling maybe a more complex product and service that you require the revenue recognition with. It has full-blown manufacturing, very highly functional and trackable and traceable manufacturing, which is very inclusive of MRP, make to stock, make to order, and engineer to order. It includes a very robust quality management module as part of that. And then it also takes care of environmental health and safety tracking as well. There's R&D, so there's full project control, project management in there, advanced variant configuration. There's PLM, including change record and BOM management. So all of those kind of things that you may have had to rely on a different solution for is included with this. Also included is asset management. Some people may refer to that as, it's really a combination of fixed assets as well as preventative maintenance. We've rolled all that into something that's called asset management, very functional and something that comes with the solution itself. And then as you look at supply chain, of course, that's a cross of all the various modules that I've spoken about so far. But there's core inventory management, advanced ATP, there's warehouse management included, so you don't need to get an external WMS. It comes with a fully functional embedded warehouse management, including mobility, mobile apps to be able to do the transactions on the floor. It comes with a transportation management solution. And then you got your logistics cross topics like traceability, track and trace, batch, serial number, handling units, business process scheduling, and the like. So as you take a look at it, this solution itself, those 8 that I just described, really applies to a number of industries, both service-centric industries and product-centric as well. So as we continue to we're going to be doing webinars to continue to educate the marketplace about this solution, we'll dive into those kind of service-centric and product-centric industries in a little bit more detail in separate sessions. So as you can imagine, what SAP is trying to do by putting this much functionality in a public cloud solution is to drive outcomes and provide proven business value. So you can read across here. I'm not going to read these tiles to you, but there is significant value in having a fully integrated kind of single platform that is your enterprise resource planning solution. You have, reduction in lead times, reduction in close times, increasing your number of payment transactions, increasing your order processing capacity, reducing administrative costs. Procurement, obviously there's a lot of low-hanging fruit in that area. R&D and engineering, manufacturing. I'd like to, just for a number of people on the call today, I understand that manufacturing and the traceability and batch traceability, the quality that's involved with all of that process manufacturing or discrete is all embedded directly within the solution itself. And then of course, there's just by having the right product in the right place at the right time, you're increasing the number of deliveries and increasing your customer satisfaction and driving increased inventory turn. And then you can see the lower total cost of ownership. So again, existing customers across all of those industries. But again, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about PowerPoints. I want to spend time with Russell showing you the solution. So what we're going to go into next is the order to cash workflow, or value stream as it's often referred to. And so you can see what some of the objectives or outcomes that we want to look at, right? We want to optimize and automate order entry. We want to be able to do en masse changes of sales orders and confirmations. We want to use embedded analytics to be able to monitor and handle the exceptions that occur during this value stream. We want punctual outbound deliveries and the prediction of delivery delays to minimize the customer churn. And then we want those comprehensive billing capabilities. And then we want to make sure we're being very efficient when we're receiving that cash in to be able to automatically clear the incoming payments. So as we look at this value stream, those are kind of the objectives that we're looking out of this particular value stream. And now Russell is going to go ahead and show us a bit about that particular stream.
Yep, thank you, Ralph. I saw some questions come in through the chat, so keep those coming in. I'll try to answer them the best I can through the flow. But certainly at the end of the session, we'll have that Q&A and we'll address those ones that I can't answer through the agenda here. So, Ralph, you can see my screen, correct?
Sure can. Yes, Russell.
Excellent. So first thing I'm going to do here is actually just navigate to my sales planning and analytics page, where it's going to take me to this space that, again, these are all out of the box. You don't have to start from scratch to customize these. But as I mentioned, it's very personalizable. It's very intuitive. You can just drag and drop depending on where you want this application to move, or each one of these pages can be personalized with the edit the page, and you can do things like rename those titles and change the way these apps look. Instead of these big squares, you can make them flat or more like those links that you see here. So a lot of different ways to again interact with that data here. So One of the first things I'm going to do is cover the customer 360 and the order to cash process, because this is going to give you as it says, a 360-degree view of your customer. Again, when you're interacting with the customers, this is your one page that you're going to go to answer any questions that might come up. So it's a fresh way to look at your data. And what we've done here is on our overview tab, built our recent activities. So here's the recent orders that have come through. Any quick links, any documents that have pending approvals to them would be listed here. And then also planned and open outbound deliveries. You have your both external contacts and internal contacts is really nice as well. So if you need to talk to somebody that's in charge of the service performing entity of this customer, that role and that person would be assigned here. Otherwise, you have those external contacts to go reach out to. Within this, you have every business document you can possibly imagine. So everything that's related to this customer, you can go through and quickly access. If you didn't know the sales order ID, you can go through and scroll and start to find that information, drill right into that data. And then any kind of fulfillment issues, when we're talking about the order to cash, it lets you know if there's an issue with the order itself, when the next action is. So I'm not doing so well with this customer because a lot of my next action is actually past due. And so again, that would have been notified through some kind of situation, but it's a demo system, so Ralph doesn't always keep up to date with his deliveries. Your sales team is actually going to love this. Just in an overview, it gives you a period of time when you're looking at this customer, their total order quantity and what they ordered and when they ordered it, right? What is their average order? And it gives you that information to increase those sales with those customers and give you that value. Also, another feature that you're going to like is this return quantity value. So what are they buying? What are they returning? Some of just the basic stuff here in this 360. Something unique about this 360 is also it has a punch out to your customer overview. And so in addition to that 360-degree view, you're able to come in and look at different KPIs, similar like what we saw on the homepage, but that was for my organization, right? That was for my company. These KPIs are specifically just for this one customer that we were just looking at. So it gives you a great dashboard for customer performance. And this is throughout the entire system. You can look at something similar to this by product, by supplier. Another really good ones, if you're into the regulated industries, you can see the trends on quality inspection results, which lots are trending which way, and compare those against your thresholds, right? And so if you see a trend getting close to a specific threshold, that will be presented to you here by that batch of that quality plan and lot. So one of the questions came up, are these easy to configure and personalize and customize? And the answer is yes. You don't need a programmer to do it. Simply just through our implementation, we actually have workshops dedicated to educating you on taking what's there, not reinventing the wheel, because SAP has a lot of great industry best practice KPIs already built for you. Again, I didn't have to touch any of these reports. These come with your system. So you can see my frequent orders, incoming orders, the trends on that. And so one situation that we often do is we compare these two KPIs together. So if I see my frequency of reports increasing, but my profit margin decreasing, I want to create a situation for that. I want to be notified for that, right? That's what we talk about, the intelligent enterprise and letting the system notify you when there's certain exceptions or anomalies that we define through our implementation. So I'm only showing you this just to give you a sense of the capabilities and the power of looking at this from a specific customer perspective, or you can change any of the filters and include all of your customers, and you'll get a similar look and feel for this overview or this dashboard. So without, I'm actually going to get in the process now. As Ralph mentioned, I'm going to start by creating a sales order. And so this is the most manual way to do it. A lot of you are going to be receiving these orders through EDI or an email or something to that automation to this point, right? And so all those endpoints are completely open. This is an example of those default values for me, so I didn't have to enter any of this information in. So I have those defaults, it just put them in, I just have to click create. So not a lot of clicks, not a lot of manual entry. I simply have to come in here and who am I selling to? What is their purchase order number? And then what are they buying? In this case, all these fields are smart text, so I'm going to type in dream, right? And that's one word in the product description. I could have typed in 131, I could have typed in pod, and it's going to find that product itself. I'm going to say we're going to order 480 of these units, and the system is going to go through, and because I didn't put a request date in the header, the line item is just defaulting to today's date right here for the delivery date, and then that's actually creating a problem. The system is telling me here, as soon as you can get this product to them based on your lead times and your shipping lanes is going to be the 12th. And so it's saying your ATP, your availability can't be confirmed. It has to be confirmed later. And so you can call the customer and say, you can actually have it today, but I can get it to you on the 12th. Is that okay? So as soon as I type in the accepted delivery date or request date, then that's going to then go to that green confirmation here. And then finally, again, you're going to want to have this defaulting, but if you do have multiple warehouses, you're essentially picking which warehouse you want to ship it from or fulfill it from. And that's it. All the pricing and tiers and a lot of complexity that comes into place in this order. We don't have time to cover all that today, but I did want to point out that there is an entire tab that's going to build in any kind of transportation fees or any kind of surcharges that you're looking for, any discounts, and all those can be added automatically based on certain attributes of either the customer or the specific campaign that you're running for this product for this particular time. Another feature I like here is the completion status. It's letting me know that I'm complete. I have all the required fields entered, so I'm safe to come in here and just go ahead and create this order. Simple as that. Again, most of my customers automate this process. Not a lot of people key these in manually anymore. With the BTP, Ralph's going to talk about a little bit later, but we can automatically read PDFs and translate that into text and import that into your orders, and then have the BTP using machine learning and AI automatically detect any anomalies or issues, and based off of past actions and confidence level, it will automatically make those actions for you. So once the order is in, we wanted to talk a little bit about backorder and backorder management. So I have that ATP in there, everything was good, but what happens if my number one customer calls and says, I want that product? How do you choose who gets that inventory, right? And so there's a lot of different ways to do that, both manually and automatically. So we have a number of different options for what we call backorder processing, and we can set up specific rules to automate the allocation of inventory before it gets released to fulfillment, which means I can say, okay, that UTZ customer I just entered is probably never going to place another order, so I want to take the inventory I confirmed to them and I want to give it to Walmart, or I want to give it to Pfizer, or whoever else is more important to me. So you can set up those rules to say, this customer is important, but not as important as my number one customer. So I want them to give up what they've already confirmed. You can say, don't take it from this customer, or you can say this customer always wins. And so if you have two number one customers, you can create custom sorting. So Walmart always gets it over Target, or vice versa, right? So there's a lot of different flexibility that we can have in our backorder processing rules. Again, that's a whole nother webinar for a whole nother day, but I just wanted to point out that there's a lot of flexibility, a lot of automation that you can set up in the backorder process. And then once that's done, you're going to then release that delivery. In this case, like I said, most of my customers are automating this process based off of the shipment date and things like that. But I'm just going to do this manually, so you can see that's basically a list of all of my orders. If there was backlogs, it would allow me to reassign the commitment to each one of those individual deliveries based on those backorder processing rules. Okay, one of the questions came in that I wanted to talk about. It looks like, I think it was Shanae asked this, but can we automate forecast off of quotes that are in the system? The answer is yes, to a certain degree. And so what we're going to do is we're going to set up these different prediction rules for you. And so you have your sales by dollar value and by quantity. Depending on which one you're looking at, it's up to you. But you have your plan to actual from a sales performance perspective by customer, by product, by plant, by sales area, whatever attribute you really want to get down to your granularity. And it's going to go through and look at your orders, look at your quotes, and it's going to perform a prediction. And then it's going to compare your planned, your actual versus your prediction. And that prediction is configurable in that low code way, right? We can tell it what to look at to make it smarter based off of how you use the system. And so that was, I just saw that question come up and I wanted to address it here because I have that set up in a similar scenario. Okay, Ralph, did you want me to continue on or did you want to go back to the slide deck and talk about the fulfillment piece?
No, you can head right into the fulfillment piece. I think,
okay, switching gears.
To be efficient with our time. So.
Okay. Yep. Just slow me down if I'm moving too fast.
No, we'll do. I think you're doing fine. Thanks, Russell.
So we have our different pages, and I've just set these up to accommodate this order to cash process, right? So that was my order process and releasing into fulfillment. Now we're going to have our warehouse management piece. And so I've set this up to a degree. We're going to show you some features and functions in the pick, pack, and ship process, but obviously not everything here. Once that's been shipped, we're going to then move into the billing, and then we're going to move into receiving cash based off of that complete flow. So that's how these pages are set up in this specific demo here. So jumping into my warehouse piece here, just like we saw with the sales orders, you have your KPIs, your insights, your batch cockpit, because that's typically important for a lot of the demos that we're doing here. And so you can see the complete genealogy and what that, how that batch was used throughout the entire system, where it was stored, and then what containers or handling units were associated to that batch. So down here, what you're going to see is we're just focused on the outbound process. And so if I look at my outbound orders, I have two orders. The one I just submitted is this number 66 here. So as a warehouse manager, I've automated the release of the delivery here, and I've automatically created the pick. So that's just done through automation in the system. You can stop that. You can do everything here. So when you talk about the scalability, I can do my complete pack and ship from one screen, or I can break it into multiple tasks, assign it to multiple areas, multiple users, multiple equipments. And so if I have a product that can only be handled with a forklift or with a crane, the system's smart enough to identify that and associate that to a specific resource. Again, a lot of the bells and whistles we're not going to get into. I just wanted to mention that to talk a little bit about the scalability. But if I come into this order, this is kind of that cockpit for that order. Like I mentioned, I've already automatically created all the tasks, so there are no missing tasks for this outbound delivery. I have one open task that has not been picked, and you can see that reflected here. Again, I can create any packaging or handling units ahead of time, but we're not going to go through and do that. I just wanted to point out that I can do everything from this one screen. I don't necessarily have to break it into the tasks. So now what my material handler is going to see, this is basically where they live. So you see the shop floor processing, you have your picking tasks, you have your internal movements, you have your put away, you have your pack outs. That's all the tasks that they're looking at. So they're going to be looking at a screen like this most of the time, and they're going to be picking up different orders and different tasks and completing them. And so without going into the task itself, this screen gives me a lot of great information. It tells me, okay, for this task, let's get a little more information here. So by clicking that, it's going to add a lot more detail to what we're looking for. So for this specific area, my batch, it's not a controlled item, so I don't have my batch information being selected here. But obviously, if I did, I can use FIFO or FIFO picking, what the quantity is, where am I bringing it to, and the task that it's associated with. So by going into the task, if it was associated to a specific handling unit or pallet, the system can direct me specifically what container to go pick it out of, and then you're allowed to break down that container at that point in time there. So it's telling me to go to this bin. I'm going to go over there, head over there, and at this point in time, if I had multiple stops, I can create a handling unit on the fly, which is really nice for your material handlers, because if I'm driving around on a forklift and I have a pallet on there, that pallet now becomes my handling unit, and I have mixed contents and mixed quantities on that specific pallet. And so then I can do subsequent movements by doing one scan, and the system knows exactly what is on that from a batch quantity item perspective without having to go through and tell it what's there and what I'm moving. So really nice way to ad hoc create those handling units, barcodes, to make that effective use for scanning and movements. But there's nothing really to do here for this demonstration. I'm just going to go to that bin. I'm going to drop it off at this specific destination area. Again, the system's determining all this for me. I don't have to change anything. If there was any exceptions, if I went to that bin and the product was destroyed, you do have the option to do different exception handling changes to what the system is suggesting to accommodate what the picker is seeing in reality. So I'm just going to go ahead and confirm this, and that's basically going to execute that transaction. And you can do that from a handheld. And so there is an app that you can go through and do this, and it's going to be a little bit more guided in that activity, where it's going to say, okay, scan the bin you're at, scan the product that you picked up, scan the handling unit that you put it onto, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to be more of a guided activity on the handheld itself. But for this demonstration, I just wanted to show you some of the flexibility of how we can look at the data. So that has been picked, and I'm done with my picking task at this point. You know, I forgot to look at what the one second. Let me grab the order number here, and then I'm going to need that when I'm packing. Okay, so when I've picked it, right now I'm going to go through and pack the order. So we have this option to do packing completely optional. I'm going to scan into my packing work center, and I'm going to enter in my reference number. That's going to pull in my outbound delivery that I'm looking at. I'm going to select how am I going to pack it out. I'm going to put it on a pallet. If there's multiple items here, it would bring in all those items. Ultimately, you can come in, pack all, and that's going to start building out your pallet or your container or your box. If you notice, I have weights and dims that are associated to that packing material, and then what my net weight is automatically being calculated based on the quantity and this product's weights and dims that are associated to it. Then you can print that packing slip and that multi-level packing material. So I can do my inner packs to my master packs and my master packs on my pallets and all that fun stuff here. So I'm just gonna keep it simple, do that one layer and go ahead and close, confirm, leave my pack app, and now it's ready to be shipped. Oops. And so coming back here to my my shipment, I can see that this has been fully packed, and now it's ready for that basically that outbound delivery. When I load it onto the truck, I'm going to post that goods issue. Again, I mentioned if I wanted to look or change any of the packing material, I can do that at this step here. So if I come to that that packing button, I can see, and this is a concept of if I had that multi-level packing, you would see that box next and the products in that box and those boxes that are on that pallet. So you can see that multi-level view, make any changes that you're interested in making at this point in time. That was just that concept that that packing material is sent throughout the system. Okay, and so the last step is just load it on the truck, right? I'm just gonna hit that goods issue button and it's gonna be gone, right? It's on the truck, it's out. Accounting's been notified now that the shipment for 480 pieces has been shipped, and it is now on the way to the customer. And so we're gonna move over to our finance hat here. This is the step that is always automated, right? We just have a job come and pick this up and go ahead and send it on. For demonstration purposes, I did just want to show you that as soon as it's shipped, it's a sales delivery document type. You can have different project types, delivery, credit memos, what have you, all come into this bucket, and then that action is performed. And so again, no duplication of data or anything here. It all comes through from the sales order. So I get the quantity from the delivery, I get the amount from the contract or the sales order side, and then you have that document flow that we looked at before, right? So I can see it's been ordered, it's been shipped, and this is a temporary invoice until it's actually been posted or processed. Coming down here, there is a lot of out-of-the-box forms. You can set up the output details to, in this case, demo system. I just have it, I believe I have it printing. So the channel is print, but that could be email. You could have multiple people receiving the email. You can even copy your internal accounting department, which some of my customers do. And so you have that visibility to everything going out. And this is just a generic copy that we always start with what the invoice looks like. I like this because it lists the product, the details of the product, and personally your prices and your price breakdown. So it'll show any discounts or pricing tier details or any freight amounts. It all gets broken down in an itemized place, so you can see how the total is then calculated. Okay, that looks good. I'm just gonna go ahead and save, which is gonna post this document and allow it to go into your AR, and it goes to your collections team, and when money is received in, everybody's happy. So let's look at that right now. Let's look at the receivables process. And so here's my receivables page. Again, a lot of great out of the box KPIs that a lot of my customers ask for every implementation. Again, SAP provides these. I didn't change any of these. You have your DSO straight out of the box, your total receipts, all the things that you'd expect from a top tier ERP like SAP. So looking at our payments here, I'm just gonna do a manual post incoming payment. This is another scenario where very few of my customers actually do this manually. There is a BAI2 file upload, a bank statement upload that's available to us. So this isn't a common activity that's done manually here. So let me see if I can find our correct bank account. No, that's not it's not the Euro one, that's the US. This should be my main bank. Okay. So my customer, I'm just going to type in, this would come in through the BII2 file, and then let's go propose items. And so what that's going to do is pull up this customer's ledger for me. What the payment or what the bank is going to have is the reference number that's on that BII2 file or that ACH file that's coming in. And so once I put in that ACH file and the payment reference, just as a proof of concept, if this would happen through an import, it would do the same thing. All this data would just be coded to the right areas, right? So it automatically found this reference ID by typing it in there. It knew it was associated to this, and it's automatically going to clear that amount for me. If there's any adjustments to make here, I would put that in there. But right now, I didn't put an amount because I didn't remember what it was, but on the check, obviously would have put that in. So you see I'm out of balance, I'm going to put that amount in, and it's going to then balance it out, and everybody's happy on the screen. Okay, so that's posting a check manually with showing some of the automation and the intelligence around that. That's about as fast as I can do it. Order the cash presentation, Ralph.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Russell. Yeah, you per usual wore 15 people's hats and made your way through the process. Great job. So I'm just going to kind of scream through these last few slides. We've got a number of different questions, hoping maybe people can stay on another couple of minutes for Russell to be able to address those if possible. But what you saw here was the process all the way from order entry through processing, monitoring, delivering, billing and payments, and the finance and revenue. And I think one of the things that I just wanted to point out was that at the front end of that process, Russell made mention of the BTP, of using bots, et cetera. Right out of the box, it does have the ability to create sales orders out of unstructured data, that unstructured data being PDFs, CSVs, et cetera. So SAP has really taken a lot of that sophistication that they've been using at the large enterprise level for a long time and really incorporated it into the key elements of this particular product. Again, there's obvious business value. I'm sure that as you saw it and you were watching the process, you could see where some of the benefits would be, such as increasing the efficiency in sales management, increasing your order processing capacity, and then just the whole lead time in terms of processing transactions gets very compressed. What I wanted to talk just very briefly about, and I mean extremely briefly, was that S4 Cloud Public Edition really is the centerpiece of this intelligent enterprise. And so as we take a look at it, as it sits in tandem with the business technology platform, the Cloud ERP provides this ability to have a seamless user interface, have consistency in terms of security and identity management, one workflow, it all works together based upon the architecture and strategy that SAP has to incorporate artificial intelligence, robotic processing, bots, etc. So we'll do, again, we're going to be continuing to do webinars on specific pieces of what we've shown today. But I think what I want to do now is Russell, I'm just going to leave my wrap up to be, Russell, do you have a few minutes to spend with us just to maybe answer a few of the questions that came up?
Yeah, of course. So do you want to take it from the top, or do you want me to go through them?
Well, I think I answered a couple can you delete things? Will customization be better supported when upgrades happen? I think you talked to that. Does the system automatically forecast off of quotes that are in the system? I think you talked about that kind of sales forecast predictability as a way to address that.
Correct.
The next few are really right up your alley, Russell. They're out of supply chain, so they're obviously out of my domain. So does it have budgeting and financial planning?
Yeah, absolutely. So you have your, I went through really fast, but in the financial reports that I showed, you can have your P&Ls and your balance sheets that are planned to actual, right? And same thing on the sales side, you can actually do some predictions there on that front of it. So a lot of rich features and functions have multiple versions of that plan. So yep, I think we're good there, unless you have any follow-up questions to that one, Damien.
I think what we can do is if there are additional questions, we can set up a separate session, probably, Russell.
Yeah,
I know that
and
that's kind of a stream of them here. So can we have consolidation in different currencies?
yes, so we have a full suite of consolidation modules. SAP's brought in that enterprise level consolidation down in the mid-market with that S4 public cloud. So a lot of that tier one functionality is come down. So it has that full consolidation, multi-entity, multi-ownership, different FX revaluation by GL account, for example. And I can actually send a really good video that goes through a lot of that information for you. And so I just watch that, and it's about a half hour, but it's definitely going to be worth your time.
Yeah, that's great. I actually have that one you shared with me. It was a very good video, Russell. I'll forward that on.
Awesome. To customize reports, can we buy ourselves, or do we need to request? No. So really our goal is to enable you as much as you want to take ownership of the system, and our methodology is actually designed to do that. So we can certainly be your back-end ERP support forever, but our goal is always to enable you to take that ownership and maintain your own reports and forms, and everything that is done is going to be through these end user tools. SAP has done a fantastic job by making those low code or no code, so it's mostly configuration. Like those situations that you saw, for example, you say, okay, what object do I want to monitor? What fields are important to me? And when this field is above or below this number that I put in, then create the situation. So it's done in a no code format and very flexible way to maintain that. And it's done smartly, right? A lot of the fields are going to be dynamic. Send it to this team, or send it to this manager of this organizational unit. So you're not hard coding the people responsible for those different activities or approval steps. The next one down here is what is offered for financial planning, budgeting, forecasting, and dashboards for executives to monitor KPIs. Again, just a lot of really rich features and tools to do that. We do have a lot of information that's actually available on, it uses a backend SAP Analytics Cloud engine. So you're getting a best of breed standalone BI tool that's out of the box part of your S4 system. So there's a lot of that predictive analytics that I mentioned before. So I think you're going to really like those KPIs and how they're presented. And then we can talk about if there is a need or a want, you can also purchase a license for SAP Analytics Cloud, which does a little bit more of the predictive analytics, a little bit more powerful in the visualization. So if you want to look at a map, for example, and drill down into that map, that's going to be something that's going to be done on Analytics Cloud. But again, that's a good question, and definitely a longer answer. Next one down here is every scenario, you have to just select a desired tile, or can we create a sales order in one screen? Yeah, so that sales order that you saw there would be the equivalent of navigating to the by design work center and view. That tile was just a one-click instead of a two-click button. And so although you don't go to the work center and the view and create, you just click that tile and it creates the sales order for you.
I think maybe head down to the are all fields or documents available to report on, or just the exposed ones?
All fields are available. Sinead, it's even more more flexible in the back end than by design is. It works in a similar structure, but we have more access to more flexibility, more access to create those custom data sources. Shouldn't call them custom, but to create your own data sources through a similar way that you do in by design, just with a little bit more powerful tools. And once that data source is created, you can even create different objects, and there's a lot more capability there. So let's say it there than you do have in by design.
Yeah, and then I'll take this last question, Russell, because I think you actually answered the very last one. How long has this variant of SAP been active? So as you look at S4 Public, it's actually been a product that SAP has released it's about 7 years old. They have taken a very measured approach to bringing it to the market. It was introduced originally over in Europe and preliminary released a few years ago in the US. They saw that they had a bit more work to do on it, so they kind of held it back a little bit to a broader release up until probably last year. But it's been a product that's been under development for a number of years and is gaining maturity rather rapidly. All right, so I think that addresses all the questions. Certainly, if there are more questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to arrange an additional meeting. Myself, Russell, can get on and explore further any of the questions that you might have. But I just wanted to really wrap up with this kind of statement, is that with S4HANA Cloud Public Edition, we can meet you where you are today and prepare your organization to grow into that intelligent enterprise to meet your future. SAP is really promoting a new tagline, which I like. It's you will never outgrow SAP. As you get more information from us, you may start to hear that you'll never outgrow Navigator. And we're going to kind of leverage that as well. But I want to thank everybody so much for taking the time to attend today. Hopefully you found this valuable. The fact that we were able to show you more of the software rather than just talk about it, hopefully kind of crystallized in your mind that this is not the old-fashioned SAP. This is a solution that's modern, it's responsive, and it can be used to meet your business needs today and well into the future. So Sean, that's a wrap for us here today.
Fantastic. Again, thank you, Ralph and Russell. Thank you to all our attendees to the demo. I hope we met your expectations. And as Ralph mentioned, we will follow up with you to provide more detailed answers to your very specific questions. Ralph and Russell just scratched the surface of the abilities and capabilities of S4HANA Cloud Public Edition. Have a fantastic week. We look forward to speaking with you all soon.